Oh, hi. Welcome to Aquatazoo, where we like to nerd out over all things zoo and aquarium related. I'm l.semple, and today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about preparing for a crisis. I know I've talked about, crisis management in terms of zoos and aquariums before, but I'm kind of in the middle of it right now. We're expecting some rough weather in the next couple of days. I just happen to be in the middle of it, and I'm like, well, why not talk about this as it's happening kind of for me, and it's fresh in my brain, and here are the things that I'm thinking about as a leader in a small aquarium and trying to figure out like what to do as far as who's taking care of what needs to be done that's special, that's not done normally, in preparation for potentially catastrophic weather. This particular situation that I'm in currently doesn't happen all that often, and honestly, our weather is pretty good most of the time, so this is an unusual situation, not completely unheard of, but we don't do this for too often. There were times that I lived on the coast and I would have to prepare for hurricanes pretty regularly. So it's not like I can't prepare for questionable situations where we're not sure what the outcome's going to be or what the impacts of the weather are going to be. But this one's a little unusual because we don't have to prepare for this too often. But we're expecting some snow and ice. And that's not normally a problem, but it's going to make things really difficult for our staff to get in. And so we can prepare for things in kind of a layered sort of situation or layered approach. So depending on the severity of the weather, we're just dealing with the forecasts right now, and so we're trying to make good, solid decisions based on forecasts, and I'm okay in this case with being a little bit more risk averse. I'm normally not a risk averse kind of person, but in this case, safer is better because I want our guests to be safe, I want our staff to be safe, and I want our animals to be safe. So we're looking at forecasts as the leadership crew of the organization, right? So we're trying to figure out like what impacts are we going to have, what should we expect, when are we aiming to make these decisions, and what are we planning on doing and having as backup plans, because things always change. It never goes the way you think it's going to go. In my case, we tend to just watch what's happening, what the predictions are. This is weather that I'm talking about. So, where I live, the weather is a little bit unpredictable. Like you think that it's going to do one thing and it does the opposite, and that upsets people sometimes. It's just part of the deal with living here. The weather is pretty chill, but at the same time, it can be a little unpredictable. And in this case, we're expecting it to get a little hairy out there. So the first step is just gathering the information about the crisis, and that doesn't necessarily have to be weather related, but we're just gathering the information about what's going on and how we're going to handle it, right? I'm not making any rash decisions at this point. We're still several days out from what would be the impact time of this weather event. And so we haven't made any hard, fast decisions, but we, as a senior leadership team for our aquarium, we're thinking about this. We're thinking about our guests. We're thinking about the events that we have planned for the weekend, because this is going to be hitting on a weekend. And we're trying to figure out, okay, who do we need to contact first if we decide to close, or if we decide to call off staffing for the day, or who do we need to inform that we are going to be closing or delaying our decisions and that sort of thing. There's a communication line that we need to maintain and be in regular contact with as we gather our information. So we're gathering our information about what's going to come, accurate or not, and we're just trying to paint a picture of what the next few days are going to look like. And then we have our list of people that we need to contact when we're in the midst of our decision making regarding the information that we have gathered. So we're watching our weather predictions, our forecasts, and it's changing a little bit now and again, every few hours, honestly. So it requires a lot of time to just watch and see what's happening. As we get closer and closer and closer to the approach of this inclement weather, we have a clearer picture of what's going on. Now, we don't want to wait until the last second to make decisions, but we know that for now, we're going to be working through at least this day, right? This, day will make a further decision based on the information that we will have at that point, right? So everybody that on our contact list knows we are planning to make a decision at this time on this day, right? So that at least gives them the peace of mind that they will hear more if they wait till then. If they call us, we're not going to have the information ready yet, but we are planning to make a call at the very least by that time on that day. So that helps everyone kind of focus on what they need to focus on, whether that's preparation or, just continuing to do what they need to do, provide good customer service or what have you. Or in the case of our facility, we have like birthday parties and events on the weekends typically. And so if we're just kind of in this point, several days out, we're allowing these parties to cancel if they feel that they need to, because sometimes people, when they book a birthday party at an aquarium or a zoo or any venue, honestly, they might invite family and friends from out of town. And so if you don't want family members and friends to be out on the roads when we're expecting bad weather, that's your call. Like, there's no penalty for that. We're like waiving any penalties for cancellations last minute because this is a specialized situation, right? And then this is several days out. We don't have like a solid forecast just yet. We're just expecting some bad weather. We don't know how bad it's going to be. This could be for no reason, and that's fine. At some point, you have to be okay with kind of making a high-level call without a ton of information just because it keeps people safe, right? So giving the parents of, potential birthday party kids the choice to cancel their parties early to make them feel better, make their stress levels lower, because they know now that they don't have to call in their family and friends from out of town to celebrate with them when the roads could be treacherous. So we're thinking of our guests first on that front because we want them to have a low stress life. And so if it makes them feel better to go ahead and cancel the party or reschedule the party now, then that's what we're accommodating. So that's one way we're starting our preparation with relatively little information, because it's kind of at this point about how people are feeling about the inclement weather that's coming our way. It is going to come. We just don't know exactly what it's going to look like. Is it going to be snow? Is it going to be ice? We're not sure yet. So giving people that peace of mind is at least one thing that we can take off their plate and take off our plate, because then now we don't have to prepare for another birthday party in potentially bad weather. I, as the animal care lead, I've been thinking about what happens in a worst case scenario. So in my brain, I've been kind of mulling over the thought that we get a ton of ice, it makes a lot of power outages happen. What's the aquarium doing? I have to think about, are our generators running properly? And fortunately, I know that they are, because they were just tested because we had another issue. We didn't have an issue, but our area was getting a new transformer installed, and they were planning to shut off the power. It fortunately did not affect us, but I already had our generators tested just like a week ago. So they're good to go. I don't have to worry about that. I'm like really thankful. I thought it was a little bit of overkill to test those generators the way we did with a full load, the way we did that just for a transformer change elsewhere. But we did it, and now I have the peace of mind going into the storm knowing that our generators are working perfectly. So that's wonderful. So that gives me some peace. But in that case, now I have to think about, what are the animals doing? And what if I can't get there to take care of them because of snow and ice? I live, fortunately, very close to my facility. And so it's not going to be difficult for me to get there in theory. But if there's tons of ice and snow, it is treacherous for me to go, even though it's a short distance. If there comes a point where I can't get there, I'm the closest one. So even if I have to, work on my own and keep people informed of what I'm doing for safety reasons, because we generally don't work by ourselves, but in certain cases, like inclement weather, if no one can physically get to me and get to the aquarium, I got to work on it on my own. But, I'll be on the phone or in communication with other people so that everyone knows when I'm in the building, everything's fine. When I'm out of the building, that kind of thing. Safety, safety, safety. But I also have to consider my own safety because it might not be safe enough for me to go to the aquarium and work there because I might not actually be able to get out there safely. It could be really slick, it could be really dangerous, and I have to consider the fact that I won't be able to get there, that no one will be able to get there. It's not something that happens often. In fact, it almost never happens, but I have to consider it. So I've started making plans for what animals absolutely need to eat and how are we going to get food to them. So our senior aquarist and I today were scheming up ideas of how to make this happen and what they could set up in the unlikely event that no one could get into the aquarium safely. I'm not willing to risk human life or limb or anything, shatter a hip on the ice patches, whatever. I'm not willing to risk that for people when more than likely we take good care of our equipment and our animals. They will be fine for a day, right? We'll set up some elaborate auto feeding to happen for certain very, very sensitive animals. But other than that, the animals are going to be fine. As long as their equipment is good and we have, electronic monitoring for most of it. So like if there's any issue, then the system itself will let me know. And if I can't get there, then I can't get there. If I can get there, then I will go there. So these are all the thoughts that have to be running through my head while I'm trying to figure out what do we need to do from here. Okay, so we've got the guests covered because we're working with them already to modify their plans. We've got people that are still calling in and wanting to know more information about when we're going to make a decision, that kind of thing. That's totally fine. We expect that. Now I've got the animals more or less considered for this kind of situation. Again, there's a lot of unknowns that happen with this, but I have to think of at least the worst case scenario and prepare for that. And then more than likely, it's not going to be the worst case scenario, right? So kind of the last part of, I guess, what I would call like the aquarium trifecta is the staff. So this is where we make the plans about who's going to be where and when, who's on call, who's not. And honestly, for specifically inclement weather, it's typically the closest people are going to be the ones on call. So I am the closest of all of our staff. So I will be the one that is definitely going to be there if I possibly at all can be. Might be a short day because I might just go in there, check that everything's fine, feed a few things, and then bounce, right? So that might be the the method of choice on the inclement weather days. But regardless, we have a plan for that. Like, I know I'm expected to show up. If anybody else can, we definitely want to have that second person in there. But if it's really treacherous for them to do so and dangerous for them to be on the road or whatever, then I don't want them there. Like, it's not worth anybody risking their lives just to show up to work, right? So I will be there, or at least I'm planning to, unless it's really, really bad. So at least one person is going to be responding in our case, and hopefully at least like 3. 3 would probably be optimal. But we have the hierarchy of how that would work, which people it would be, and kind of which order they would be called in, right? So everyone's expected to assess their own situation and understand what the road situation is in their area, the likelihood that they can come in safely, the situation with their car. Not everybody's got a great car. Mine's 21 years old. But you just have to take all of these things into account, right? But I don't want anyone to risk their lives for work. It's just not worth it. We'll figure it out. The animals are in good shape. We take good care of them. They're all provided with emergency power, even if the power grid fails. So they'll be fine. We're going to put up some interesting feeding solutions to make sure that even if I can't get there, that certain really sensitive animals will be fed and they'll be okay. But other than that, we've kind of handled our guests, our animals, and our staff. And so now we kind of wait, right? We put things into place, get whatever maintenance done that we need to have done on our infrastructure, our building, our equipment, and that sort of thing, and make sure that's all kind of buttoned up and looking as good as we can get it for right now. So that in the event that we can't come in to check on stuff, that we are more likely dealing with equipment that is running fine and running normally and healthy, right? So that the animals will be fine, everybody is okay, the power is not the end of the world, we'll get the power back on if it fails, we've got these generators that are ready to run. So we've tried to put ourselves in as good a position in those days leading up to an inclement weather event. We've worked really hard to always be ready for something like that. So that is what a lot of this is about. We can handle the people stuff and the animal things, but we want to make sure that our equipment generally is in pretty good shape to handle whatever we throw at it, even if it's ice and snow. So we want to get any last minute checks done. We want to make sure that pipes aren't going to freeze if the temperature drops really low, all the kind of things that you do for a house too. So like, dribbling a little water to make sure that there's water flowing so stuff doesn't freeze, making sure that your fridge and freezer are in good shape, that you have the food ready that you need, that the pumps are all in good shape, that your alarm systems are working correctly, and all of these little things, quote unquote little, they're like the lifeblood of an aquarium, but if your equipment's working and your animals are going to be in good shape whether you're there or not, then that takes a little bit of a load off. And so you feel a little bit more confident when you're going into an unknown weather event so that it's not quite as scary. Another good thing to have is just supplies, whether it's flashlights or battery power or anything that would help to get a crew through an emergency situation, even if you don't know what that situation is going to be. So if there's no power, you probably don't have lights, and therefore you need some flashlights so you can see what you're doing. In our aquariums case, we typically put a little bit more aeration on our tanks so that even if the pumps fail, the air is moving and animals are not going to suffocate or anything. It's not ideal, but it's something. They'll stay alive. So we do that kind of stuff in preparation and get our gear together with easy access so that if there is an unforeseen emergency, I guess, then we'll still be okay. We still have all the stuff in the right place and we can respond to it easily, quickly, and what have you. So in my case, we have these emergency supply boxes. We'll roll them out from where they are stored normally and just keep them right in, kind of in the way for an emergency situation, just so that no one is confused about where they are and what they're for. Inside those, we've got like hoses, we've got batteries, we've got flashlights, headlamps, and various other things. We also have elsewhere, not in the same boxes, but elsewhere we have emergency snacks and drinks and things. So if a crew has to stay for a long period of time and there's like not really any food available, we do still have the snacks so that nobody gets hangry or unpleasantly hungry while they're trying to get stuff done. You don't have to worry about where you're getting food from. We have some. It's perfectly fine. It's packaged, just ready to go. So we keep that kind of stuff on hand in cases of emergency because you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's fine and it's like literally nothing, and sometimes it's a big mess. I've been in all sorts of situations when it comes to zoo and aquarium work when a potential disaster has struck. So in my hurricane going days, there were times where we all prepped, everything was ready, we were confident in what we had, and then we came in after the storm had passed and there was no power to the building, the generator failed, and everything was a mess, right? There were floods in the building, there were animals that had died, like it was just a mess. And so that was worst case scenario, and it was not really prepared for properly, right? And so we thought we had it, but we didn't. So that kind of stuff plagues me to this day. So now I'm like, I need to know the worst case scenario and I need to prepare for that because I've seen it happen, right? In other cases where I've ridden out a hurricane at a facility, things got really wild. At one point there was water coming up through the floor. Nobody prepares you for that. So you have to respond and do things that you were like, I had no idea this was ever going to be a thing. And so you end up doing work that you did not think that you were A, qualified for, or B, ever thought was going to be the work that you would ever do. I remember pulling up carpet squares from a room that was flooding, and just because the water was coming up through the drains in the floor because the water table had risen so high because of a hurricane that was coming in. And so that was a wild time. I've been in situations where we thought that the storm was going to be nothing and it turned out to be quite impactful. And I've been in positions where we thought that the apocalypse was upon us and then literally nothing happened. So you're going to have to make decisions that are the best you can with the information that you have at hand. You know, our weather right now is going back and forth, whether it's going to be really bad or whether it's going to be manageable. And I don't know at this point, and I'm going to have to make a decision, and our senior leadership's going to have to make a decision about what we're going to do with the guests and the staff and the animals in the end, where we have to make a decision, a final decision, and then we go with it. We just run with it, right? And then in the aftermath, whether it was an appropriate decision or not, we're going to get flack for it. There's no winning on this, unfortunately. You're going to have people who are going to be really upset that you decided to close for safety reasons, for the animals, for the guests, for the staff, and they wanted to go to the aquarium that day, and now they're really mad and they're going to let you hear about it, right? There are those people out there. There are also going to be people who are mad that you're open. How dare you tempt people to get out on this road and come to the aquarium when it is dangerous to do so? Or, I can't believe you're still open and my, brother, sister, child has to be working at your facility because you're open when I don't feel safe having them out on the road. And so that kind of stuff happens. We're not making anybody work, by the way. Like, if anyone feels unsafe, we encourage them to not come to the aquarium. So before anybody gets upset that we're like slave drivers and we're making people work when it's not safe, that is not the case. If anybody feels unsafe at any point, because we have people coming from all over the place in our area, and one thing that this area is known for, the weather and the situation and the road conditions in one area are not the same as the road conditions and safety aspects in another area. It's very, very dynamic, depending on where you are specifically. Even in the days leading up to this event, we're already getting people that are upset no matter what decision we're making. They're upset that we're pondering closing, they're upset that we're pondering opening, and they're upset that we haven't made a decision yet. So it happens. It's okay. It's part of running a business, no matter your business. And you're going to have people that don't like the decisions that you feel like you have to make based on the information that you have at that moment in time. As much as our forecast has changed by the hour, basically, I'm pretty sure that once we make our final decision about whether we're going to be open for this event or not, that people are going to be mad and that it may not be the right decision. Like, I don't feel 100% confident that I know what we're going to do. But I feel like in this case, we're going to we're not going to be super risky. We're going to be a little bit safer because we ultimately want our guests and our staff to be safe. And we, as the animal care team, will provide for the animals. So no matter what we do, the animals are well taken care of. Everything's going to be fine for them. Like, we will do everything we can to make sure that that happens. Then it's up to our kind of front of house crew to cope with the fact that everyone's mad on the guest side and possibly even the staff side, that we are not going to be able to be open perhaps, or that we will be open and that people are getting out on the road to come to the aquarium, right? There's no perfect answer, and we are going to make the best decision that we can, and we're going to do that with all of the information that we have gathered, which may or may not be accurate. The forecast keeps changing, and it's really whiplash. But as it gets closer, we'll have a more solid idea of what to do, of what to expect, and what to prepare for. So that's just kind of a quick rundown of what my week's been like. I hope your week is going well. But this is the type of thing that we have to deal with, particularly in the inclement weather, unknown kind of forecast situation. With other types of crisis management, it might be a little bit different because you're kind of dealing with facts and, timelines and stuff like that are a little bit more solid. With weather events, it's a little bit more ambiguous because you're never sure exactly what's going to happen or how it's going to impact your facility or your staff or your guests, or your animals. But we tend to come at it with kind of a threefold approach because we want to make sure that our guests are taken care of. We want to make sure that our staff is taken care of. We want to make sure that our animals are taken care of. So as a senior leadership team, we all have a part to play in all of that. And so more than likely it'll be kind of like I'm the animal care person, so I make sure that the animal care stuff is straightened out. Our operations manager will take care of the staff. Our GM will take care of the guests. And we just kind of make decisions based on that. So we make sure that all three groups are in good shape and that we're trying to make the most sensible decision based on the information that we have, and that we're trying to err on the side of safety this time around. We want to make sure that once we make a decision, we don't have to change it either, because that tends to confuse and upset people as well. And we'd rather just close down the facility and not risk people coming in or having staff come in that are not prepared for that kind of weather. Like I said, it's going to be different based on where you are in our area. So what might be fine conditions for one region of the city, it might be completely different for somebody on the other side of the city. So we're going to take all the information that we have. We'll make a final decision once we have a little bit more of a solid forecast, and then we're hoping to stick to it. If we are preparing for nothing, that's totally fine. And ultimately, if we could save one person from getting hurt or save one animal from being affected, then that is perfect. That is wonderful. That's exactly what we were preparing for. And it's all worth it at that point. But we don't want to under-prepare. We don't want to make a mistake on this one and have somebody, experience something particularly unpleasant because of our decision whether to open or to close. So these are just like things that are going on in the backs of all of our heads as we delve into what could potentially be some pretty severe weather for our area. And I thought it might be helpful to give a glimpse into that if you've ever wondered what kind of conversations are going on behind the scenes when you're dealing with a zoo or aquarium and inclement weather or crisis management. Ultimately, we want everyone to be safe. And so we do everything that we can to make sure that that is the case. And it's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of revisiting the facts and the information that we have, the most updated information, and kind of weighing the pros and cons of the decision making repeatedly so that we understand what the risks are and we can make a very informed decision based on the facts that we have, the risks that we're facing, and the safety of whichever party we're talking about. And we try to have clear communication about it so that nobody's coming in not knowing that we're closed. Granted, it's not going to be perfect. We'll try our best, but we have our lines of communication so the people higher up understand what's going on. The people that are, looking up our website have the most up-to-date information. We'll disseminate it to the people that need to know, like, for example, the folks trying to host events at our facility over the weekend. They will know first because they need to know that their event needs to be rescheduled or something like that, because we don't want people coming in trying to get to our aquarium and then running into ice or snow or really bad weather and not being able to get out of it, right? Getting stuck or something like that. We want less people on the road if possible. So these are the types of decisions that we're making and the types of things that we're considering. So if you've ever wondered, there you go. Now you know. Wish us luck. Okay. If you have any questions about that or any other zoo or aquarium things or leadership and management stuff, let me know. You can write it up in an email and send it to me at aquatazoo@gmail.com. If you're enjoying the show, and I hope that you do, don't forget to follow or subscribe on your podcast player of choice. That way you'll get all of that sweet, sweet content as soon as it releases. If you'd like to support the podcast directly, you can find me at patreon.com/aquatazoo. And if you're looking to take a vacation and you don't know where to start, I happen to be a personal vacation advisor with Magical Vacation Planner, and I would love to help you out. It does not cost you anything extra. The links are in the show notes. Okay, thanks for listening. I heart your faces. Okay, bye.